leads itself to really inclusive experience, and that is theme park accessibility. Let me introduce the speakers. Our first speaker was Nabil Barakat. He graduated in 1994 with a bachelor's degree in hospitality and tourism management with a focus on sales and marketing from one of the most reputed universities in that field, Ryerson University, Toronto, Canada. Nabil held a multitude of senior executive positions in the Gulf, the Middle East, where his management consultancy skills transformed properties and companies into profit-making establishments. His culmination of international experience in hospitality and tourism of more than 20 years has deemed him as one of the most reliable and success-guaranteed consultant and executives in the region. His comprehensive skills and creative mind has expanded businesses all over the region, turned them into profitable enterprises. He has a drive and passion for the best hospitality possible. Therefore, in the midst of demanding and challenging industry, he is constantly thinking up new and innovative ways to positively impact his clients' welfare. He successfully led and managed the pre-openings and openings of various well-reputed companies engaged in hospitality and tourism in the UAE, Jordan, Lebanon, and now Qatar. Morné Fourie is the Vice President of Design Management, Dubai Parks and Resorts. He is currently the Vice President of the Design Management of Dubai Parks and Resorts in the United Arab Emirates, a $10.5 billion publicly listed entity created out of Meris Developments. At DPR, he led the design management during the construction of 3 theme parks, a Marriott hotel, and the R&D, as well as the concept design of 4 future parks and 6 hotels as part of the larger master plan developed by his office. Under this tenure, approximately 3,000 hectares of land was master planned, islands were reclaimed, and construction projects initiated. He partook in the development of the Dubai 2020 master plan, working with key players from the Dubai government. Please welcome the panel and our next session on accessible theme parks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to thank Sasol and Project Qatar for hosting us today to share and learn about the fantastic initiative, Accessibility. For the past 2 days, I have personally learned something very important, that no matter what we do towards accessibility, there's always more that we can do. What I would like to share with you today is how family entertainment centers and more so edutainment centers such as Kids Mondo could play a major role in integration of accessibility at young age. In order to do that, I would like to share with you first a short 3-minute video about Kids Mondo for us to understand what the concept is, and then I will go into the details how we can make that possible through gaming and through a fun way. May we play the video, please? Thank you.
Where we belong, where we shine and we are strong. This is a special place for kids, and how filled with fun it is. This is a place we call our own. Kids Mondo has become our home. This is the day we sing for you and raise our flag with pride too. So put your hands out for Kids Mondo. Dreaming about the world could be. Everything you ever wanted to be is right here in the space for you and me.
All right, we have taken an idea. All right, as you have seen, Kidsmondo is basically a replica of a city made for children and managed by the children. Parents at Kidsmondo do not really have a role. It is the children who do everything. We want this so we can have the children depend on themselves, be self-reliable, and learn how to deal with their peers. Basically, what we provide for the children is an opportunity to play the role of adults. Our biggest role, we believe, in this society is to develop better, caring, and responsible citizens in the future. If we are to do this, if we are to replicate the value of a city for children to live the role, we have to have a full integration of all aspects. We have to integrate all people in the society. That definitely includes children with disabilities. We are going to talk about two things. First, how we're going to integrate such a cause in our content, in our development, in our system. Second thing we'll discuss in a short period is what we have done at Kidsmondo to facilitate accessibility for children and for parents with disabilities. Now, the way we do things at Kidsmondo is we have developed content in conjunction with the Lebanese American University. And we have developed our content to give the children a full comprehensive experience. And we do that through cognitive, emotional, psychomotor, and social development. And social development is what I'm going to stress on at this point of time, because that's where we're going to have the full integration. If we want the kids to understand what they are to do, how to accept their peers, we have to have a full range of services. Our aim in the future is to integrate in every single one of activities, as role-play activities, a full range of accessibility standards so the kids can start absorbing that information at young age, so they grow up with a society giving them, and for them to understand that basically we live in a society where if we are to do we are to live our life, we don't need to make extra effort. We don't really need to make that little extra step. We want a society that understands our needs. We want a society that has the proper modifications and adjustments to accept us and let us live our life without any further assistance. One of the definitions of accessibility that I like is the quality of being able to be reached or entered. It is not only the fact of creating accessibility by being reached or entered. We have to do that in a quality manner. We have to provide quality when we provide that additional service. As per the World Bank, 1 billion people, or 15% of the world's population, experience some form of disability. If we take that on a level of a family, that's a family of 5 children, that's 1 child in a family of 5. If anybody takes that to their own level as a family, who of us who has a single child of 5 with a disability who would leave him or leave her alone and wouldn't make everything possible to make that specific child be equal to his siblings, his brothers and sisters? We would make that extra effort. So why wouldn't we do that in our society? I think we have to make that extra effort as a society. One of the biggest battles faced with people with disabilities right now is the struggle for increased access. Now, some accessibility adjustments are easy, others are more complex and more difficult, but every single step we make further makes a difference eventually. So, when we talk about increasing access in a park or in a family entertainment center, before we can actually do the physical changes, we need to make sure that there is a group understanding. We need to change the attitude of how we look at that challenge that we have to face. We have to look at it from the perspective of a child. I'm talking about children who basically might not have had enough chance to understand their disability and learn how to deal with it. So at Kidsmondo, what we strive to do, and I have to admit that we're still far from being perfect at that. I mean, we're learning and we're doing our best to do that. We need basically to understand that children have special cases. We need to understand that children have to grow up with this, and we have to take an active role in making them integrate in a society that understand them and makes its best. We need them to grow up basically understanding that the society is there for them. So, as I said, the first step before doing the physical changes, we need to change the attitudes, and that will be followed by actually changing physical things such as the structure and the spaces in our physical aspect. So, why should organizations be more accessible? Why should parks be more accessible? I think the simplest answer would be because this is the right thing to do. So, as I said, 15% of population faces a challenge. It is our role to make sure that society deals with that. It is more so our responsibility as theme parks, as family entertainment centers, as edutainment centers, to start education at a very, very early age. And as family entertainment centers, we have the chance to do that because we create worlds for the children where it will be their first view to this life. So, if their first view is done the right way, if we start ingraining the standards and the proper principles in their minds as young children, these children will grow to be more caring, more understanding of their peers. They will grow to be the society we all strive to build and develop. Second, it makes it possible for more people to make use of the service. So if we're looking from a park's perspective as, I wouldn't say commercial, but from a more profitable manner, yes, we are increasing our target market, absolutely, because the more services we provide, the more people are gonna come. People start coming, believing in us. And we do that not only because we're providing an accessible environment, but we do that because we do edutainment and we concentrate on the educational part. And there's no other better way to educate children than doing that in a fun way. Then any organization can make itself more accessible. That is not really rocket science. It just takes dedication. It takes efforts on behalf of the company. It takes a vision from the management to make that thing happen. Sorry about the flying, so it doesn't come with me. Then providing access for people with disability is another way we can increase diversity in our organizations. At Kids Mondo, as I said, we talk about two types of accessibility. The first thing is education about accessibility. It's having our children learn how to accept their peers. It's integrating our content, our establishment's literature in a way that makes it easy for children with disabilities to enter the park and feel comfortable, especially that they are not going to be assisted by the people they usually depend on, their parents. We want them to be on their own now. We do definitely make exceptions if a child insists that he or she wants their parents to be with them because that's a new environment for them and they're still not all the way there. Absolutely, we allow parents to be there for a period of time for us to break the ice and to make kids feel more comfortable inside the establishments. Now, accessibility is a huge for at Kids Mondo at the present time. We have started working on having the physical accessibility, more so the wheelchair accessibility. We have done a couple of changes that we're striving to even have more and more, but we were trying to concentrate more because we are endorsed by the Ministry of Education and we want to make sure that our curriculums go along with the curriculums of the Ministry of Education and Higher Education. We want to make sure that we are a continuation for those curriculums, but from a social perspective, we want also our curriculums to be solid social curriculums where parents and children alike feel comfortable leaving their children with us for a period of time and then leaving our entity with more knowledge, more education, and about accessibility more so. So our belief through our vision and our mission is to help future generations become well-versed individuals, create a world where children can socially interact, empowering children with necessary knowledge, essential skills, and life lessons in an entertaining manner, creating awareness through an array of fun and educative activities. Our aim through our program basically is, as I said, integrate accessibility standards seamlessly. We don't want to make that as showing an extra effort made. That should become a standard. That should become seamlessly integrated in our edutainment concept. Create a more accommodating and a more accessible venue for our disabled guests. We need to educate the children the respect and understanding, because everything starts with respect and understanding. Once we understand and respect our peers, then we can start doing the necessary changes. On level of the company, we would like to engage in various CSR activities, because we like to give back to society what they're giving us to start with, and promote knowledge and understanding of accessibility. And whenever possible, we would like to improve our accessibility means right now to make them automated, to even facilitate accessibility further, especially that we are dealing with children. And eventually, we would like to introduce our children to accessibility in the workplace in the future through integrating the standard, as I said, in the establishment that we have, where we educate children about future jobs, because we hope that one day all jobs, all offices, all organizations will be fully accessible, so all people with disabilities, along with their peers, can work hand in hand, side by side, without feeling that they are marginalized or without feeling that they are different than the rest of their peers. And something we are working at right now basically is we are restructuring our offices in a way, as has been discussed earlier on. We are restructuring our office in a way right now because we would like to increase the workforce that we have from the society, to add some employees with disabilities. I'm sharing with you just few pictures of what we have done at Kidsmondo as far as accessibility is concerned. We have added accessibility gates for wheelchair children. We have signage right now that shows specifically where the WCs for children with disabilities are. We have full-fledged signage system. We have increased the number of elevators, basically. We had 2 elevators, now we've increased the number to 4 elevators in all corners of the park to make sure that it's shut, especially during rush hours where it's busy. He or she wouldn't have to actually go a long distance so they can access the second floor, because our activities are split between the ground floor and the mezzanine level. So it's those little steps that we believe we're doing. Thank you. We believe that we're doing towards a better environment, a more accessible, a more understanding environment. We have WCs on both levels of the park, and those for children with disabilities are clearly marked. And as I said earlier on, now we're working on having the doors automated to make it even easier for them to access without any kind of assistance. And we have our theater, where we have allocated a specific section in it, basically, also for children on wheelchairs, where they can access and have their own area where they don't need to go upstairs or downstairs, or basically on the level, so they can sit down and watch all the shows that take place with us. I won't take much more of your time. I thank you for listening. I thank you for the time you have granted me today. And we look forward, basically, to having a really fully accessible society that understands the needs of people with disability. And I think we're quite lucky to be in Qatar at the present time, where the Qatar Development Vision 2030 discusses this issue in a prominent manner under the directives of His Highness Sheikh Tamim, basically. And I believe that I've been in the region for a while, and I believe that in the last few years, we have seen serious initiatives, serious concern from the government to assist. I know, for instance, Qatar Tourism Authority, we've had many discussions in addition to other authorities in the country, where you feel that there is a real enthusiasm in doing the support and give the needed support for organizations that require that and for organizations basically that wish to assist and to be more accessible. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd also like to start by just thanking Sasol and thanking our hosts, the Qataris, for hosting this conference. I'm not from Qatar, I'm from the United Arab Emirates, from Dubai, and I represent Dubai Parks and Resorts and DXBE, the holding company that holds Dubai Parks and Resorts. If we can have the slides up, please. I maybe very quickly say a few words on Dubai and the progress Dubai has made. We've had two very, very important years in 2014 and 2015. The important starting point for us was in March 2014 when His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and the ruler of Dubai, ruled by decree on the protection of people with disabilities. And that was taken up in Federal Law 29 that same year. Later that same year, Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Crown Prince, initiated My Community, a City for Everyone. And that was ratified by Executive Council, Decree number 3 in 2014. And then the very next year, Sheikh Mansour, his brother, Sheikh Mansour bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the chairman of the Higher Committee for the Protection of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, kicked off Dubai Disability Strategy 2020. And the idea was that Dubai would be in the top cities in the world by the Expo 2020 when it comes to the rights of people with disabilities. So with this very high standard set by our rulers, we set out to design Dubai Parks and Resorts, which is the largest integrated theme park development destination in the Middle East. It consists of 2 phases, and each phase has an individual hub for collecting people and then moving into 3 or 4 different theme parks. The 2 hubs are joined by a water system and a water taxi system. So I'll very quickly take you through that. What you are looking at here is the central food and beverage district of Dubai Parks and Resorts. At the top you see the parking for VIPs and disabled people as well as the valet parking. And then there's a very, very large parking lot just off the screen. You'll see this on the second shot. As you come into Dubai Parks and Resorts, there's a major arrival area for buses and taxis and what we call kiss and ride, which allow people to come in from the south into the food and beverage destination. You'll see the arrival area has the disabled parking spots right at the gate. It's 40 spots as you come in through the gate and you arrive in the central area. Once in the central area, we have Motion Gate. To the one side, Motion Gate is a theme park based on Hollywood IP. So you'd have Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Kung Fu Panda, a host of IPs. You then You've missed out on the overall slide. Can you go back to slide 2? Yes. Slide 2. No, slide number 2. Yeah, no, slide number, the previous one. Okay, there we go. No, there we go. So what you're looking at here now, you've seen the detail in the upper corner, a detail of phase 1 of Dubai Parks and Resorts. Now you see the overall plan. This is about 3 kilometers by 3 kilometers. At the top you see Sheikh Zayed Road. Sheikh Zayed Road links Dubai and Abu Dhabi. This is right in the middle between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And we've got a fairly large area that we've set aside for theme parks, 8 theme parks in all once it's built out. And then we have the residential development and other land developments, real estate developments on the edges. Within this overall development, we're expecting 2 million visitors a year once we've reached full build out. At the moment, at the one node, we have the Lego water park, we have Legoland, we have Bollywood theme park, which encapsulates all the Bollywood IPs, and then we have Motion Gate. So here you're looking at Legoland, the Lego water park, Bollywood up there, and then Motion Gate is off to the side. Just below this parking area, there's something called the Outlet Mall that I will show you a little bit later. And then you have the Marriott Signature Hotel of Lapita that serves the first phase of the master plan as the first hotel, and I'll show you our next 3 hotels that's coming around that. And then here at the bottom, you can see a site that's currently under construction, which is Six Flags, which is an American thrill ride park. So this is the technical drawing of the very first phase. So the problem with working with 2 million people is that, yes, you have to look after people with disabilities, but really accessibility becomes an issue for everybody. It's a very, very large population. And what you didn't see on the previous slide is this P2, a giant parking lot that picks up the people in the morning and displaces them into the park. Now, when you have 2 million people a year arriving, the normal parking doesn't work. Whether you're disabled or not, normal parking doesn't work. So we have speed parking, and we have a fairly complicated tram system that has to pick people up, not at tram stops, but at wherever parking is happening at that moment. And the parking is structured, and people are told where to park. This is the area in the middle that I've just shown you, the food and beverage area. So you have the bus and taxis arriving at the top, and then you can clearly see the entrance into Legoland, the entrance into Bollywood, and the entrance into Motion Gate. Now, right here at the top, the very first set of parking spaces, 40 parking spaces for the disabled. So we're trying to avoid the tram system and the long rides for our people with disabilities. The central area is divided in French Village, which you'll see now, and then it has the peninsula in the heart, and it has an American-themed food and beverage district at the top and an Indian-themed at Bollywood Gate, and it's all linked by the water taxi system. What you're looking at here is the French Village. We have traveled to France, to Lyon, Dijon, and Annecy, and we sat in Annecy and we designed this master plan in Annecy over a period of time. We took every single craftsman that worked on these walls, we flew to Annecy, and we asked them to look at the textures on the walls. We're very serious about creating a great experience for our guests. So this is the entrance from the bus and taxi arrival area. You're looking at Motion Gate, so this is the American IP. You've got, after you came through the main gate, you've got your normal retail environment in theme parks, and then you have the Smurfs, and you have a very big Sony box, which basically covers the DreamWorks box that basically covers all the DreamWorks IP that I've mentioned before. There's a Lionsgate area with 3 or 4 other lands, and the Sony lands. This is the Legoland and Lego Water Park component of the parks. The Lego Water Park is a 2 to 12-year-old destination, which kind of sets it apart from other water parks in the Middle East, in that it specifically caters for a younger audience. And it's also the only water park that actually carries IP. You're looking here at the Bollywood destination. We've got quite a lot of the Bollywood stars living permanently in Dubai, Shah Rukh Khan and quite a few others. And Shah Rukh Khan was actually last night till after midnight filming the next advert for Dubai. And a lot of the children in Dubai were very excited to be in the video. Certainly mine was. I don't think he went to school this morning. The Bollywood theme park is finding its feet as a completely new offering. It's not something that is in any way a copy of anything that's been done before. And it's, from that point of view, it's quite a coup for us to own that IP. But it is something that our audience have to get used to, and then the word of mouth has to spread. All of these parks have opened in the past few months. You're looking at Lapita Hotel. Lapita Hotel is the central hotel component that sits on the water, and water taxis picks you up and takes you to the food and beverage area where you enter the different parks. As I said, this is a signature collection of Marriott, and Lapita is our own brand. Lapita is a Polynesian-themed family resort. It's very different from resorts that's been done previously in the world. It specifically caters for families that comes to theme parks who have very, very different habits to families that normally go to a resort. So we completely changed. It's not a 4 or a 5 or a 3-star hotel. It's a beautiful, visually a 5-star hotel, but our idea was not to follow the star rating. Our idea was to really cater for our customers and their specific needs as they come to theme parks. This is the very first point of arrival, that if you're a person with disabilities, you'd arrive at this gate. You do not get out of your vehicle. You drive through this gate, and you get to the parking lot that I've just shown you on the edge of Riverland. This parking lot has this area which has 40 parking spaces for people with disabilities. And you'll see it's right at the gate as you go into the Riverland area. There's no steps. And we specifically designed it like this so that we can avoid the interconnection with the tram, because the tram cannot have tram stops. It makes it really complicated to make the whole tram system accessible. This is the other parking lot for people without disabilities. And this parking lot, I'm going to show you the structure of pickups now. It's all parking in this parking lot is speed parking. We'll get back to that structure. And then this is the third mode of arrival, which is the bus and taxi arrival. You can see the buses coming off the ring road. The buses fill in here. You must understand this is more complex than an airport. In an airport, you have people arriving all the time and going. In a theme park, all 2 million visitors a year arrives in a 2-hour window. So it's an enormous amount of traffic arriving at the parks. Hence this what looks like a slightly over-engineered solution. You can see the taxi arrivals, taxi drop-off. The taxis then turn around and drop people and wait in a queue area, and the buses the same would turn around and wait in a queue area. You can see the queue area in the back. From taxi drop-off to the French Village, there's no steps. So if somebody did arrive by taxi on this side, it would be very easy to access all the way through Riverland. Riverland has a higher and a lower area, which you'll see later, but that is also linked by a bridge without steps. This shows you the combination of the food and beverage area and the large parking lot. So you must remember that the parking for the people with disabilities are here. So this is the tram lines, and the tram lines have to adjust to where the speed parking is happening at that specific point in the morning. So it will adjust every 10 minutes or so based on the way people park. And these are the routes. So the problem with speed parking is that it's set up in such a way that as people park, they don't cross the other cars coming in. So it's deceptively simple looking diagram, but it's really complex, setting it up in such a way that cars park and the tram pick up, and the two systems do not intersect. So here you see the trams. We've designed special medieval tram stations to fit with the medieval village feel. The trams are very similar to the trams you'd find in Disney World and Universal. You can see that the trams are because they are themed to be slightly dated, the trams would be very, very hard to make fully accessible. And therefore, we felt the easiest thing to do is to concentrate on the areas really close to the gate for accessibility, focus on the the parking for people with disabilities and focus on the bus and taxi drop-off and the kiss and ride. As you arrive at the bus and taxi drop-off, the very, very first thing you encounter is a special guest services building. And in the guest services building, we have set up special vehicles for people that might require help. And this is before you have any shops or anything. So it's a very key point in the retail experience for us. It probably would have been the unit that would have had the highest rent that we make it a retail shop. But we decided to take care of our guests with disabilities first. There's a whole series of taxis. If you have disabilities, the taxi would be provided. Otherwise, you could rent one if it's available. Then we have the water taxi system. What you see in the top left-hand corner is how the water taxi dock is lowered all the way to the level of the boat. So the idea was that you have a ramp on the one side, steps on the other side, and the boat and the dock area is completely level. Now, that is not easy to keep perfect all the time because the evaporation is 4 centimeters per hour of water in the Middle East. It is extraordinary. So to keep that water level exactly at the same level is quite hard. You can see here one of the restaurants. This is one of our own brands, Big Chefs. One of the restaurants in the peninsula area. So what we did with all restaurants that had double stories had to have an elevator inside. So you can see here the amount of space the elevator takes up within the restaurant. But we're very proud that you could very easily move either from the top or the bottom of the food and beverage environment. You can move through the restaurants. Then arrival at Motion Gate, you can see this everywhere. There's no steps throughout the entire experience. And I mean, this is not just because of trying to accommodate people with special needs, but it's also just enormous volume of people we deal with. Got it. So I'm going to go very quickly. We tell our staff there's 3 things. You have to inform, you have to give access to all rides, and then you have to safely accommodate. So the very first thing is the information that is displayed as you come to any ride that explain to you what the dangers are and how the ride works. The next thing is we always have 2 queues. We have queue fast and the normal queues. Anybody with a disability immediately go into queue fast because we do not want any queuing of people with special needs. So they bypass all the queues and get to the rides. And then once they get to the rides, this is just I'm going to go past that. It's an analysis of a queue pass. Some of the rides arrival areas is not at ground level, so those have special elevators set up at all rides where that's the case. And then as you get to the ride, every ride we have in the park has one special unit for somebody with movement impairment. So what would happen is there's a special key that the operator would bring, and the edge of the ride will come out, and you then have easy access to the ride. One of the things that's also taught to the employees, which I'm not too sure of the exact reason for it, is that they're not allowed to touch the customers unless the customers ask for help. So this is another point that the employees get. You can see here one of the other rides. Once again, there's a special tool that the employee can bring, and the whole ride swings open, and people are let into the ride if they need help. This is one of the theaters, Underworld Theater. We've got 3 theaters throughout Dubai Parks and Resorts, and you can see each theater has a complete special front zone where we've taken out 2 rows of seats so that somebody with disability can easily drive and sit in front in the theater. This is a future park that we're building at the moment. This is not finished yet. This is going to keep us busy for the next 1.5 years, and 3 world records, 6 flags, a beautiful thrill ride environment. And we're taking everything we learned in phase 1 and taking it into phase 2. The other components of phase 2. Legoland Hotel under construction. Legoland Hotel, same thing. There's absolutely no level differences as you arrive in the Legoland Hotel, and it's completely open towards the back going into the theme park. As a detail of that. This is 3 future hotels that we're currently working on financing, and again, the same philosophy is taken through. There'll be 3 different Lapita hotels, and the same philosophy is taken through that. Very quickly, the Outlet Mall is a mall we've done just outside the gates next to the bus and taxi arrival. So when we had to design the mall, I happened to be on holiday in Sangilignano, and our chairman, who's a very, very smart man, very well traveled, he asked that he wanted a themed mall that's different from all the themed malls you see in the US. So I photographed the old village. We used it to set up the architecture of the outlet mall. But one of the key differences you can see if you look at it is we completely flattened the concept so that there's absolutely no steps throughout the mall, which was very important to us for accessibility. I'll leave it at that. If you have any questions, we can take them. Thank you, sir.
Hands up already. Before we take questions, please thank Nabil and Mornay for their
Thank you.
presentation. Okay, the hands are up already. Microphone in the...
شكرا للمتحدثين. عندي فقط سؤالين أو ملاحظتين للكيدز بانك.
تفضل.
لاحظت أن التصاميم الصور والملامح مغربة شوي يعني، فأطمح أن أرى في الحقيقة كتماندو في قطر أو في المنطقة تعكس الهوية، تعكس هوية الطفل القطري مثلا، لباسه، أزياءه، لونه، شكله، لأن فيها أيضا رسالة لمن سيأتي إلى قطر كسواح، لأن هذه الفنون تعكس أيضا تعكس ثقافة المجتمع وتراثه وتاريخه، وبالتالي نأمل أن نرى في الحقيقة هذه النقطة. والحمد لله عندنا دكتور محمد من كلية فيسيو، هي من أرقى كليات في التصاميم وفيها في الحقيقة بناتنا وأبنائنا يعكسوا هذا التاريخ والتراث من خلال، فجميل أن نراه إن شاء الله.
أكيد.
أيضا الجانب البيئي، اليوم نحن في أشد الحاجة إلى توطين المواطن إلى الطبيعة والإنسان، لأن هذه القضية هي قضية الساعة بالنسبة لكل البشر، أن في الحقيقة بعيدين عن قيم التعامل مع الطبيعة، وبالتالي سيواجه الأجيال القادمة كثير من المشاكل. فنأمل أيضا أن تكون من ضمن الأنشطة تقدم الجانب البيئي من ضمن، لأن توطن الإنسان وتحببه إلى بيئته، وبالتالي يصبح سلوكه قويم تجاه التعامل مع البيئة. ونحن عندنا تجربة بسيطة في لاند مارك، عندنا أصدقاء الطبيعة بالفعل. نأمل أن نتعاون معكم نزورهم، أنا رئيس مجلس أصدقاء الطبيعة، أن نحول المرافق العامة إلى أماكن المعرفة، مش بس نلعب وناكل أو نشتري ونبيع، تتحول إلى أن هي تصبح مكان المعرفة. وعندنا نموذج جميل في الحقيقة في أزدان مول، أتمنى أن تزوروه، كيف الطفل يأتي ويتعامل مع الطبيعة مباشرة، سواء طير أو حشرة أو نبات أو كائن، ويتفاعل تفاعل كبير جدا تعكس سلوكياته في المستقبل إن شاء الله.
حسنا. تسمح لي أجاوبك يا أما it was just ملاحظات، أنا بحب إنه أعطيك فيدباك من عندي. أوكي. قبل كل شيء شكرا، بشكرك Would you like me to answer in English or in Arabic? Okay, in English. First, thank you very much for the observations you have shared with us, which are extremely valid, and indeed you are extremely aware of the observation you have just shared with us. answering the two parts of the first question. Kids Mondo is a regional concept. It comes with its basics as far as architecture is concerned. Yet, what we try to do is we try to replicate the partners' establishments. So most of our partners at the present time are international brands, such as Boyker, such as Qatar Airways. So the idea is to replicate to the children what they're going to actually see in real life. We do understand, and yes, indeed, we are in the process right now to develop a heritage village within Kids Mondo that deals with the local tradition and local heritage. We have received this comment from an extremely high source, and we are currently working on it. And we do believe and we appreciate the fact that the Qatari society really tends to get attached to its heritage. And because of that, we are developing that specific section right now. It's currently under design, where we will deal with traditional cooking. We deal with pearling. We deal with hawk hunting. So we are trying to work on something that even looks a little bit more, we're benchmarking Souk Waqif for that respect. As far as the characters are concerned, we have the 4 characters of Kids Mondo that unfortunately we cannot really play with the way they are, because these are international characters that we cannot change. However, what we do is we try to accommodate the clothing of the character. For instance, we have 4 characters. We've got Cosmo and his sister Ina. We've got Lilu, that's the turtle that is their somehow the conscious or the brains behind them. And they've got Dugzilla, the dog who protected the city of Kids Mondo. Once we go into the mythology of Kids Mondo, we'll understand this more. However, we have Cosmo and Ina dressed in traditional clothing over here. We also have them dressed according to the season or according to the festivity. For instance, on National Day, they're dressed in fully national dresses. On Sports Day, they are wearing sports. But we try to accommodate that specific part. Although we couldn't change Cosmo's hair color, although we got some comments on that, but we work on them with the way we dress them. That's answering the 2 parts, the characters and the architecture of Kids Mondo. The second question where you ask is, one of our biggest and our pride partners right now is GORD, Gulf Organization for Research and Development, under the guidance of Dr. Yusuf Al-Hur. And we have substituted the electricity company that we have into a sustainability electricity company that we have, basically. And children get engaged in an activity where they go around, they collect carbo dollars. Carbo dollars, they have green and red. So they assess the establishment. An establishment that is not very sustainable, they get red coins, and establishments that are sustainable and environment friendly, the kids get green dollars for that. And once they do this, they go back to collect their kiddlers, and if they didn't collect enough green dollars, what they do is they have to work on generating green energy to get their green dollars. So we are trying to accommodate the understanding of environment within the sustainability aspect.
Do we have any more questions? Okay, let me try and draw together in the last 5 minutes here a highly informative 2 days. And I think everybody in this room will agree that it has been a tremendous 2 days. But before I do that, I almost forgot again, please put your hands together for our 2 panellists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess it's some recurring themes that's come out of this conference, which I think are the take-homes that everyone should take with them. And it's happened a couple of times. Disability only exists where there's a barrier. And I think that is something we need to think about. We need to throw away the concept of disability as has historically been around. I think we also need to broaden our minds a little bit and think about disability as not a thing, because no disability is alike. No two individuals are alike. A lot of disabilities are hidden and we tend to forget about them. It's a matter of designing and building experiences that are equitable for everybody and, more importantly, inclusive for everybody. It's not much point in putting a row of disability seating in a stadium if the whole experience of the stadium is to share that experience with family and friends that require people to be together. That leads me to the second point. Accessibility is not about the infrastructure per se. It's about creating experiences. It is about customer, and it is about understanding people or travellers with a disability in the context as you would any other customer. I would argue that building disability or accessible product is no different from building any other product, because when you design and build a product or a service or an experience for anyone else, you look at what that customer wants and what you want that customer to take away. Travel has been often called the science of selling dreams. And it's the fulfilment of those dreams for everyone that is the core to accessibility. Qatar has a great opportunity in 2022 with the World Cup. Major events are drivers of change. They allow certain perceptions to be changed. They allow people to build facilities, to market them, which has a flow-on legacy effect to the whole population in gradually changing perceptions overall. We've touched on employment a couple of times over the course of the thing. I think the important point that was made today by the panel was that employment for people with a disability is not a CSR issue. If the sort of numbers that were presented on day one of the magnitude of the market for accessible tourism are valid, then people with a disability have a skill set that is actually required to fulfil the development of accessible products and services. It's not a charity model of employing people. Business actually needs that skill set to help develop the products and the understanding required to capture the market. I'm going to finish my summary with a quote from a dear friend of mine, the late Dr. Scott Rains. And Scott used to ask a simple question. What if, instead of asking how much this is going to cost to make it accessible, we actually ask, what is so unique about this product or services that justifies it being exclusive?
Beautiful.
Thank you, Wayne. Okay, got another instruction. I can't close this comment of this conference without some acknowledgements. One, it's been a privilege for me to actually be here over the 2 days. And conferences like this and this initiative doesn't happen without organisations like SASOL and Definitely Able. The support and dedication that organisation puts into this initiative is absolutely invaluable. A round of applause, please, for the... Major events like this also don't happen without the empowerment and incorporation of Project Qatar. And accessible tourism as such, the most successful models in the world have occurred when the National Tourism Authority is right behind it. I would argue that the responsibility for development of a lot of accessible tourism product rests with the private sector, building parks and building everything else. But the strategy, the guidance, and then the marketing support from the National Tourism Authority is critical for the successful development of any accessible tourism. That is also to be absolutely commended and supported. At a local level, conferences like this don't happen without the support of the speaker panels that you've had over the 2 days. I've worked in a lot of industries. I've had a long career in a lot of corporate facilities. And I have never seen the dedication, the commitment and belief that the people within the Accessible Tourism and Accessible Genera have. And I think over the 2 days, that has shone through with everybody who's been up on this podium. So again, a round of applause for the speakers. And finally, I'm going to single her out because, again, conferences like this seem seamless, but the work that goes on behind the scenes can't happen without Karen, without the Karens of the world. Come on. And her entire team, who have worked on this for months to pull the logistics and organisations together. Thank you, Karen. There's been a lot discussed today and yesterday, so please join everybody over here for a networking lunch. But before you do, and I presume Karen's going to do her magic and organise where, you've all been asked to stop for a group photo prior to lunch. So finally, I will say thank you for everybody who's come and shown some really enthusiastic support and interest in this subject. At that, I can close the conference, and I'm early.